broken or hurt, or there are plenty of other words that you can use. But I highly recommend offended, but because it's a guy. Alrighty, let's move on to the next slide. 저런, 그런 일이 있었군요. 제 생각에는 논쟁글은 될 수 있으면 안 쓰는 게 좋을 것 같습니다. But oh wait, why would I use I'm sorry in place of 저런 그런 일이 있었군요. This is because I'm sorry that this happened to you. We like to say that, just in case something bad happened to who you're talking to. I'm sorry that happened to you. You're sending your condolences. So that's what we're referring to right here. I'm sorry. 제 생각에는 논쟁글은 될 수 있으면 안 쓰는 게 좋을 것 같습니다. Now, 제 생각에는 could be my thoughts are, I think, so, blah, blah, blah. But I recommend a different expression today, and it is as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned. And this means, 나로서는, and implies what your thoughts are going to reflect upon. So, as far as I'm concerned, 논쟁글 is controversial writing, but 논쟁글, this is an adjective and this is a noun, but to have controversial writing, it could be a little bit misleading. It could kind of confuse the reader or the listener. So, I'm going to write, as far as I'm concerned, writing on controversial topics. So in this sense, you're still sending the same message, but at the same time, you're not going to confuse any of your readers or the listeners. So, writing on controversial topics is 논쟁글, 논쟁으로 이룰 수 있는 글, 이런 뜻이죠. Writing on controversial topics. 자, should be. And how would you say 안 쓰는 게 좋을 것 같다. You could say, oh, it shouldn't happen, or should be limited or restricted. But here's my recommendation, and it is should be off limits. And this means 출입 금지. If you said 이 구역은 출입 금지입니다. This area is off limits. So altogether the sentence looks something like, I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, writing on controversial topics should be off limits unless absolutely necessary. And absolutely necessary obviously means 절대적으로 필요하지 않으면 이런 뜻이죠. Alright, with no further ado, let's take a look at the next sentence. He replies, 말씀하신 의견에 한 표 던집니다. 가끔 절 팔로잉 하시는 분들이 제 의견에 시비를 걸어 골치가 아파요. Oh my god, that's so unfortunate. 자, 말씀하신 의견에 한 표 던진다. This is an expression saying, oh, I agree with you. Thanks. Props to your comment. 이런 뜻이잖아요. This is an expression that we like to use over in the English-speaking countries in general. Kudos to that. And the word kudos comes from a Greek word meaning literally fame, but in the English language, it's kind of used to extend to another individual to praise a remark, which is exactly what you're doing here. Kudos to that. Now, 가끔, sometimes, 절 following 하시는 분들. Now, we learned on the first week that 날 follow 하는 사람은, they're called followers. Followers. So we're going to say my followers, which, by the way, I have 12 of, and I'm very proud. My followers, 자, 시비를 걸다. You could provoke a fight, or you could pick a fight. So in this case, we're going to use the term pick. Pick, 이거는 시비를 걸다 이런 뜻인데요. Pick at my opinion. And this literally means kind of to poke fun at my thoughts. So pick at my opinion. And 골치가 아프다. Unfortunately, there's no direct translation, but we're going to use and it gives me, or it really gives me a headache. Me a headache. 골치가 아프다는 건 머리가 아프다는 거잖아요. 그래서 we're going to use the term headache. Give the term headache. All right, so the completed sentence looks like this. Kudos to that. Sometimes my followers pick at my opinion and it really gives me a headache. That's very unfortunate and we're going to continue on over here with the next part of the sentence. 법적으로 어떤 규제가 필요하다고 생각합니다. Okay. 생각합니다. That's very straightforward. I think. 생각하다. I think. 자, 법적으로 어떤 규제가 필요하다. There should be, 뭐뭐 해야 한다. There should be. How would you say 법은 영어로 뭘까요? Law. Since we're referring to one law, be a law. I think there should be a law that could, 뭐뭐 할 수 있게, it allows, that could regulate. regulate, 규제한다, 이런 뜻이죠. Regulate such traffic. Now, why on earth would I use the word traffic over here? And that's because we don't just use the word traffic when we're driving cars, but when there's cars on the road, that's traffic, right? So on the timeline, if there are a lot of tweets, that also could be referred as a traffic. So the complete second part of the sentence looks something like, I think there should be a law that could regulate such traffic. All right, let's move on back to the screen and look at our final sentences. 이 부분에 대해서는 다른 분들의 의견도 들어보고 싶네요. All right, 이 부분. Although this is a very decent sentence, translating into English might make it a little bit vague, and we don't like vague. So, we're going to refer to as topics. Topics, 이 부분, this kind of idea. So it's called a topic. Alright, 의견도 들어보고 싶네요. I would love to hear what others think of this topic. 이렇게 써도 되지만, I would like to recommend a different method of expressing your thoughts.